When to insert APA In Text Citations into a paper by Professor H. So when do we place APA In Text Citations into a paper? When we have medical facts, numbers, dollars, percentages, statistics, when we have dates, historical facts, and uncommon knowledge. Now, let me repeat this again, so that when you write a paper and you're using medical facts, numbers, dollars, percentages, statistics, dates, historical facts, and uncommon knowledge, you need to place an APA in-text citation into the body of your paper to avoid plagiarism. An APA in-text citation lets the reader know where exactly you got your information. You place the in-text citation right after you state the fact in your paper in the body of the text. If you are using a direct quote, which means that you are verbally, verbatim, word per word, quoting and citing the source, then you need to write the author, the date, the page number, and you need quotation marks. If you are summarizing the quote in your own words, you don't need quotation marks, but you still need to cite the source. You don't need a page number, you could just write author and date. For the most part, the examples in this presentation are mainly direct quotes. That is, when you take information word per word from a source. So when citing numbers, percentages, dates, historical or medical facts, use direct quote. Make sure each direct quote is less than 3 lines. Also, use only one in-text citation per paragraph. So that way your in-text citation can flow with the rest of your paper. Here is an example of medical facts that you would use for your in-text citation. First, abortion is moral if a girl was raped and she does not want to carry the rapist's child. To begin, abortion to me is a 50-50 topic, as we all agree that no life should be lost. But what about the young girls, teenagers, and the adults that are victims of sexual assault? Many research studies have shown that 3 out of every 4 sexual assaults are not reported, and 1 out of every 1,000 rapes, only 5 perpetrators are convicted. So if you're going to use numbers, statistics, and medical facts, you need to cite the source. Also, if you're going to use numbers, you have to cite the source. The average American spends about $1,200 a month on prescription drugs. And if the person has cancer, that cost can go up to $10,000. Where did you get this information? Where did those numbers come from? So you need to cite the author, the date, and the page number. Here are some more medical fact examples. Daylight savings time affects our health when it comes to sleep. On an average, we lose about 30 minutes of sleep in the springtime. Losing an hour of sleep goes against the natural circadian rhythm and can lead to a heart attack. In the fall, when we gain an extra hour, we also lose daylight, and doing this causes more depression and mood swings. So here you have medical facts combined with 30 minutes, which is a number or a time. So you need to cite the source of where you got these numbers and where you got these medical facts. Percentages. 21% of the women using shelter had 2 or more homeless episodes during the study period. Now in this case, this student correctly used in-text citations after she used her percentages. And then she correctly wrote where she got it from. Housing Matters, Pregnant and Homeless, and then comma, March 2019. And also we use in-text citations if using dates. In 2019, we had more measles cases than we ever had since 1992 due to adults choosing not to vaccinate. Now, where did you get this, information? Where did you get these dates? So you have to place the in-text citation inside the body of your text. It's not good enough just to write your reference citation. You have to put the in-text citation inside the body of your text. Also, you need to use in-text citations when citing historical facts. 1619 represented a landmark in the long history of slavery within the European colonies, where the first African slaves were traded in Virginia for food. This became the institution of slavery in America. June 19, 1865 marks the emancipation of the remaining enslaved African Americans in the Confederacy. So here you have several historical facts. Where is your source? So you need to cite Smith 2020, page 22, to avoid plagiarism. Here are some more examples of historical facts that also need an in-text citation. The Emancipation Act prohibited slavery, but also granted slaveholders compensation. U.S. paid reparations to victimized groups, but around 900 Washington, D.C. slaveholders were paid about $23 million in 2020 dollars to free 2,981 slaves in April 1862. So once again, you need to cite where you got those numbers from. Another place in which you cite is uncommon knowledge. Common knowledge does not need citation. Example of common knowledge in the U.S. includes December 25th is Christmas Day. Everybody in the U.S. knows that December 25th is Christmas Day. December 24th is Christmas Eve. So there's no need to cite that. But when you have uncommon knowledge, you have to cite the source. So uncommon knowledge, in the U.S. anyway, the Chinese New Year is based on the lunar calendar. Then you have to cite the uncommon knowledge that came from Chang 2020, page 45. If you are not sure if your fact is common or uncommon knowledge, then cite the source. Conclusion. We place APA in-text citation right next to the facts we write inside the body of the paper. If we are not sure if something is common or uncommon knowledge, we cite the source. Always use a direct quote for numbers, statistics, percentages, dates, medical facts, and historical facts. If you do not properly cite your paper, you are committing plagiarism because you're stealing someone else's ideas. Some researcher spent years to research, to come up with those statistics, to come up with those percentages, and you want to credit that researcher who spent years of his life to come up with those numbers. And if you don't write that person's name down to acknowledge that that person spent years of his life coming up with the numbers that you just put on your paper, then you're committing plagiarism. So in the real world, when an author is caught plagiarizing, they get sued. If a student is caught plagiarizing, they get a 0 for that paper, or if that student plagiarizes many times despite many warnings from the university, then they get expelled from school. So always cite your sources to avoid getting sued and to avoid being plagiarized. So if you're on the job and you're going to write a presentation for everybody to see, then you have to make sure you cite your sources, because in the real world, if the person that you didn't cite notices that you used his information without his permission, you can get sued in the real world. And in school, in academia, you would just get a 0 for your paper. you flunk the class, and then if a certain student knowingly plagiarizes many times, despite repeated warnings from the university that he or she is plagiarized, they can get expelled from school. So always cite your sources, always properly use APA to avoid plagiarism. And that's the reason why we learn APA in the first place, is to avoid plagiarism. So I hope you enjoyed my video on how to insert APA in-text citations into your paper.